Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners. This meeting is being recorded to play back later in WRPS and being, I guess, played live now. With that, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Motion to open the meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
I have a second. Mr. DeRoss, how you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
And Mr. Hession's a yes, that's unanimous. Approving the minutes of the last meeting, I didn't get a chance to read them. I'm very sorry. I just got them a little while ago. So I'm going to put that off until, unless the two of you have read them. Dan,
I
did you
do.
read them?
No, I haven't read them yet.
All right, so we'll do that next month. Robin, can I ask a quick question? Is Robin there? Yeah, there she is.
Yep,
Robin, where do we stand as far as previous meetings, postings of the minutes? Are we up to date or?
everything is posted before June.
Okay,
So, but the June 16th that I sent you today was more of a courtesy because I did send it to you before last month's meeting. So are you sure that any of you didn't read those?
Robin,
before?
can you check that? Because I think that's already posted.
June 16th is posted.
Yeah, yep,
All right, I'll double check on those. I didn't think they were.
just that one.
All right,
Do we have any abatements tonight?
we do. Okay, so I have 3 abatements. The first one is for 39 Hackett Circle. The water department sent a high usage letter, which alerted the owner to an underground sprinkler system that had sprung a leak. So she's an older woman and her husband usually takes care of that, but he's been ill. So they found the leak. She had the system replaced. She has a receipt for the installation of the new system and it's all documented. So I averaged her previous usage and it's really just about $1,000, $1,100 a month. And that period when she had the leak, it was $10,565. So it was way out of whack. So the abatement would be $561.87.
I'll take a motion to approve that abatement.
I'll second it.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Hession's a yes.
Thank you. The second one that I have is for 25 Fur Road. Let's see, the
What was that
water,
address? Sorry, what was that address again?
25 Fur Road.
Okay,
So the water heater broke down and flooded the floor of his home. So he lives in Leisure Woods. It's a trailer home. So it did not go into the sewer. He has a receipt for the replacement of the water heater. And the history shows that he's consistently below minimum. So we always charge him the lowest amount. Going back and getting his average is $460. The inflated amount was $2,960. So the abatement to bring him down to the minimum is $142.64.
I'll take a motion to approve that for $142.64.
I'll second it.
How do you vote, Mr. DeRoss?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Hession's a yes.
I have another one for the owner at 445 Liberty Street. He had asked to be on the agenda this evening, and I sent him the login information, but it doesn't appear that he's here. Would you like me to speak to his request?
Why don't we have him come in next month? Or let me put it to the board. Do you want to, where next month's going to be a holiday month, do you want to have him come into a working session?
I'd make a motion to table it to next month.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, Mr. DeRoss?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Hession will be a yes. Okay, if he could come in November meeting, that'd be great. That'd be November 17th. Yep.
November 17th?
Yep.
That's it for abatement requests.
No drain layers?
No?
You had mentioned that a Stephen McGivey might be in tonight. Is he?
He's the one with the abatement request that
Oh,
didn't show.
okay. Yep, okay. See you next month. Continuation of old business. We have with us John Ayotte from Veolia, who is our project manager for the time being. And John, could you give us an update on the various projects?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Did everyone receive a copy of the status update report?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm basically gonna go through that verbatim. I can share my screen if that,
If you could, that'd be great.
sure. Oop. So as you can guess, I like to use a Google Sheet to track all these projects here. So the CWMP study, the phase that it's at now is basically with the Board of Commissioners until you want us to do a cursory review on that. So as it's stated here, phase 2 is Stewart Wright Pierce. You're expecting the phase 2 draft completion by the end of November, with phase 3 circling back to March, in late March, maybe early April of 2023. All right, with the public hearing following the final draft.
Question, John, will that phase 2 impact the the EPA submittal on November 30th?
No, so we're gonna show traction on that. That's task number 7. With
Okay,
all these that have to do with how you roll those into the semi-annual report for EPA.
okay,
As long as we're showing traction and movement on it.
okay, thank you.
We'll tie it all together. The SSO compliance online systems and alerts. So the consultants completed with that. We did modify that notice to reflect Richard to be the point of contact for the town. What we need to do is update the town's website to have that on there. I'm not sure who the point of contact is or how you want to go about coordinating those efforts.
Robin, would that be us at the sewer department or would that be town hall?
Well, we have to notify town hall to put it up there.
Okay, could you take care of that? I could send you that. Do you have a copy of that?
I do not. And,
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you tonight.
okay, and also while we're at it, can I get a copy of this screen share document as well, so I can keep it with the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Richard, do you want to share that with her? If not, just give me Robin's email address. I'd be happy to forward it to her. Or send it to me in the chat. The item number 2A, the SSES study that is completed. I'm just going to leave this on here because it has to do with some of the other items that are on this task order. So item 2B is the construction documents that are based off the SSES report that was prepared by AECOM. That's with Weston and Sampson.
Okay, if I could comment to that, we received the draft for the to go out to bid for the repairs yesterday. I reviewed it. I gave the copy. Excuse me, people, I'm tired. The other commissioners have a copy to review. Other commissioners, I sent that to Chris Kenny and Doug Lapp for their cursory review on the terms and conditions, so they have that as well. So that is in motion. Once I get their comments, I will submit it. I'll submit that to Weston Sampson, and hopefully we'll have that to bed by the middle of next week.
And my understanding from my responsibility on this part of the work is that once the Board of Commissioners approves the bid docs and you go through the public notice and awardment of bid, and you start taking action items on those remediation efforts, that is where we come in to assist the town.
Okay.
Do you want us to take any other?
No, I want you to hold off on that for now, if you would, but we could discuss that after we get the submittal in.
Okay, so I'm just gonna track the, this
Keep
project.
tracking it.
Right, but you don't want us to take a cursory look at the bid docs?
Let me get back to you tomorrow on that.
Okay. So to summarize that, the town was issued a draft bid doc with the removal of the I&I. It is stated here for 119,350 gallons per day. I'm not sure if that was a different estimation from the 67.5 that was from the original report.
Yes, I'll go into that a little later once we
Okay.
get rolling on that.
With the bid schedule, like you said, Mr. Chairman, is that the advertisement for November 2022 and a bid opening in December 22. I don't foresee that being an issue with meeting our requirements for the semi-annual report.
You do not?
I do not. No, so long as we're having traction on this.
No, we got good traction on that. That's moving
Yeah.
right along.
Correct. Yep. No, the EPA understands how some of this stuff works, if not all of it. So, I have item number 2C on here, the CCTV and flow monitoring assessment at designated areas from AECOM. I had that as being closed. So this was basically the work that was going to be curtailed off their I&I study. This is the bid specs. So
Correct.
I'll strike this from the next status report.
Correct.
Okay. Item number 3A is the rate study with Weston and Sampson. Right now, they have an open RFI, request for information, to the Board of Commissioners. So they have basically, from my understanding, they have 3 open items that they need information on that's going to stay them moving forward. So
The
they
items
need,
that I have, just correct me if I'm wrong, I have the actual revenues and expenditures for FY '22. What we've spent in capital outlay for fiscal year '23 and expected capital outlay from '24 to '28. And rate changes for fiscal year '22. Am I correct?
I have 23 to 27, but they may have pushed that off given the timeline.
Okay. Okay.
I'll circle back with Weston and Sampson to see whether or not if they want the fiscal year from range from 23 to 27 or 24 to 28.
I'm not sure.
Yep. No, I'll circle back with Frank from Weston and Sampson and get back to you.
Okay, and I'm going to try to sit down with Rick next Tuesday or Wednesday to go over that. We have a working session scheduled for Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Item number 3B, the I&I control plan, with Weston and Sampson. They provided a presentation to the town, I believe, this week or last week. I wasn't here for that. They have an open question in regard to, so in the I&I control plan, it outlines, basically how you want to identify some of these I&I issues, and they outline in detail how you want to go about finding these. But for year one, they have a contract into the town. I'm not sure who it was issued to for the action item on year one. I'm not. Did you receive a contract from
Yes,
them?
they gave us a proposal last week.
Okay. I just want to make sure you had that. That was.
Yeah, no, I will send that over to you.
So on, column M here has some of the information needed here. So, okay. The IPP program, this is 4A. There's some information that Environmental Partners is looking for. They're looking for a list and description of some of your IPP program. So those users that have municipal industrial pretreatment program permits, they're looking for a copy of those and a list of those. Were they given that information?
They gave us a copy of some information today, and they sat down with Rick after that. He would be better off to speak to on that item.
I'll add that to the workshop discussions for next week.
Okay. If you would, thank you.
All right, moving along. The management assessment grant. Basically, we're just looking and waiting when they make a determination whether or not we're approved and for how much. So we expect that determination to be made late December, early January.
Okay.
And again, on that grant, which I do not have a copy of, there are action items with that. And the Environmental Partners has asked if the town is looking for environmental partners to take care of some of those action items.
Well, I don't think any of the board members have seen that paperwork either.
No.
Okay, I'll reach out to Natalie and get a copy of the grant, what that entails.
If you could get a copy of that and send it to me, I'll distribute it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 4, the GIS, that is closed. I only add this on here because I understand with most GIS platforms, especially the cloud-based ones through ArcGIS, is that you have to pay for a cloud license. I'm not sure how long that is defined, what term it is. It is a 1, 3, 5-year term that the town has. So it's just a tickler to be had for you guys to be aware of. Maybe in talking with Natalie, she didn't know offhand what the timeline was. So when this was first established, I'm not sure if you can dig up the contract. I'd had asked her to give me a copy. Maybe it was just described in there.
Okay, if you could, I'm gonna do some digging myself. While we're on that, Rick did, I'm gonna mess up the name. I'm not sure if it's Ryan Paul or Paul Ryan from EP, from Environmental Partners. Did he talk to you about adding the IPP users to that?
He did not, no.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll reach back out to Natalie to see if I can get a copy of that.
All right, thank you.
Just taking notes. Item number 5A, design for additional gas piping and subsequently the installation of the additional gas piping. I kind of defer this to you, Rick.
Yep, I can handle that.
And I
What
can,
do you say?
I can just jump over to item number 7 for me, the EPA semi-annual report. Okay. We have a workshop stated for next week. There's a number of information that I need, but what I'd like to kind of describe to you in detail or a brief summary. The outline that the way I write the reports to EPA is I typically outline the format to match the administrative order. It's just easy for the permitting authority to kind of look and follow through it. And any of the meat or real substance I either include in tables. Like I like to use spreadsheets so I can track the progress of work, which will probably take consideration the next report next year when we start having traction on remediation efforts on the I&I. So it would include, and we already have created a spreadsheet, so to speak, on that table 3 in the ACOM report, right? To go after that 67.5, that's the initial initiative. And then all the ancillary or supporting documentation, like the information that was supported, given by the solicitor back in, what was that? August 1st, I think it was a deadline to outline our plan of action. And then the substance of the report would reference those appendices, but go into detail of whatever action has occurred within the 6 months previous to the report. I do have a draft copy that I'm a little hesitant to share right now.
No. Don't share it now. I'd rather wait till the working session.
It's typically my thoughts on paper, and being an engineer, I write small and no one can transfer my language except for me. So But I'll be happy to share for anybody that wants to see some traction on it, but.
Will you
um,
have something by next week?
I'll have a template, an outline
That's okay. It's good enough for me.
for discussion on the workshop to say, this is the format and layout. This is the information that I need.
Okay.
All right. Some of the information that was provided, I think there was a correspondence that went around. I think it came from you, Mr. Chairman, there was a reference to appendix or attachment number 3, which had to do with, it wasn't the tax revenue. Let me trying to get. Sorry, attachment number C from Sherry Valley, showing the balance of money available. I mean, are we, I never received that. I'm not sure if we're still working on that, Sherry, or.
I
Okay.
believe, I do have that. I will send an email copy to the chairman who can forward it to you.
Excellent, okay. And then I do have some follow-up questions on the information that was provided for those products that were approved prior to the moratorium, those products that were approved during the moratorium, and those are our future projects.
Yep.
And then there was missing information as far as the required I&I to be removed per project. But in review of the sewer use ordinance, you do have language in there that states that for every gallon of flow, average day flow, you are to remove 11 gallons per day of I&I.
That is correct.
That's a pretty heavy lift, but that's how I'm going to generate the number for the table for that semi-annual report.
That's the number to use.
Okay. And then Rick, I can go back with you. I know I have an open email with you, and I know you've been busy this week with the regional conference.
Mhm.
But there's some heavy lifting as far as a flow data. With respect to that, I typically like to do for I&I impact systems is to correlate that with the rainfall intensity that was seen and kind of mirror the two. Okay, if this is a two-year storm, 10-year storm, whatever it may be, or is it more of a flash flooding event?
Okay.
And that can also be a segue into helping some of the consultants dictate where do you want to drive the inspections, whether or not it's a cross connection or sometimes they utilize the terrain to see if there's low-lying areas near wetlands that have more than likely illicit connections for some pumps or whatnot. So I just want to correlate the flows, the facilities flow data, and then bring in the rainfall intensity that was recorded.
Okay. And how far back do you want to go, John?
Just 6 months. I don't want to I'd like to go back further. That's only going to help our cause here.
Right.
But given the time constraint, just
Okay.
just 6 months. But we can expand on that,
Okay.
for the next year, if we're still involved with the reporting, I'd like to expand that metric to include that, but it's going to really open our eyes to where we should be looking.
All right. Sounds good.
And that's my status report. Any questions from the board?
I want to thank you very much. You've covered everyone's pretty thoroughly. Any questions for John?
None for me.
No.
John, thank you very much. I'll see you next Wednesday.
Yes. All right. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, John.
Thank you.
One thing I wanted to bring up, where was it? Yeah, I had it. I received an email from Weston Sampson today. One other item that they're working on for the town is the DEP Clean Water Needs Survey. See attached solicitation letter. We were selected to complete this for the town, which I guess this activity is paid for by DEP. We think we have all the wastewater information. They've reached out to Natalie Parmersheim, Environmental Partners, for an update. I'll forward that over to Sherry and Dan later. One thing I wanted to put up on the Weston Sampson. Where am I on my updates here? Okay. The bid contract. That bid contract, as I mentioned a little while ago, we received the draft. It went out to, legal and the chief procurement officer for review. So hopefully we'll get some feedback on that. one of the things they came up with is I want to share my screen with you. Is that AECOM, when they went through, said that there was, problems in the service line and in the laterals going to that. That's at 674.9, the service connections. One of the things we started bantering about was another process being used, and that's using a grouting process, which is they inject that in. And one of the benefits to this, one of the biggest worries the board had, was that when you deal with laterals, you're going onto private property, which means that the homeowner, the property owners, has to take the cost of that. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of the I&I is coming from. With this process, however, we can get into it from the street and go 4 feet into the lateral. And most of your leakage is at where it meets, the lateral meets the service main. So that would cover that. And the other benefit is if you look at it here, that they were projecting a cost of $674 versus $68,000. So we're going to be taking a total of $674,000 with a contingency down to $398,000, $400,000. And what they're projecting is that we should be able to get 70% to 50% of what we're finding in that for the I&I, which would give us a total, instead of the 67, of 119.5. So again, that would take a lot of the heat and strain off of the homeowner, the property owner, for that. EPA update, I guess what you just heard is that we're on track for the September 30th submittal. There's just some loose ends. I'll be having a workshop with John Ayotte, Rick, and myself next week to go over that. And right now, we don't see really any Murphys in it that'll give us a problem. Anybody wants anything else to say on that, or Dan, Sherry? Primrose School refund, Sherry, you want to mention something about that so we can put that to bed for good?
Yes, I've been informed the check is in the mail.
Okay. That's all we're saying on that. Robin, if you're on, could you speak a little bit on that lien fee for us? The increase that we voted on at the last working session?
Hi. So for as long as I've been with the town, 6 years, the lien fee has been $10 per utility per account. And recently the Board of Health voted to raise that fee to $25. You voted to go for $25 as well. I don't believe water has voted on that fee yet. So the fee is mainly to discourage people who typically or always go to lien as a tax strategy so they can claim it on their real estate taxes. Because when we lien, it's not a registered lien at the Registry of Deeds, it's a lien on the property itself. So then they claim it on their taxes and they must feel that it's beneficial to them, but it's a lot of work for us. So we were trying to prevent that from happening while not raising the fee so high that it's cost prohibitive for people who actually can't afford it and go into lien that way. Was there anything else you wanted to ask me about it?
Nope, that's about it. Okay, superintendent interview update. I don't believe we mentioned that at the monthly meeting. If we did, I'm remiss again. We interviewed one candidate who had applied for the job. We felt at the time they had a lack of experience, and that hasn't changed. Sherry, do you want to add any more to that, or do you want to let it ride for now?
Well, I think with the applications that are coming in, we may need to think outside the box a little bit for the superintendent, and perhaps consider training up a superintendent if they have if they have certain skills that we need that can be taught on the job, so to speak.
The only,
We need it. I do want to press to get a superintendent sooner than later.
oh, I agree, and the ads are still out there. And I'm not shutting off what you had said. My only drawback to that is that we've got so many irons in the fire. Can we really risk a training? The biggest drawback to this gentleman, the gentleman that we interviewed, was that he'd never been in a wastewater plant.
Right.
He has experience with the town he is in as far as I working with contractors. I think, what did he say? He had 5 years experience?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I agree with Sherry that we may have to start thinking outside the box on that. So I'd like to keep.
You know, I also note, you know, you said we have a lot of irons in the fire, and as you read through the contracts, there's a lot of need for a superintendent to be filling in to complete these projects.
Okay. Well, while you got the floor, do you want to give us a update give everyone an update on our progression in the working sessions?
Oh, working sessions, I feel are very successful. They allow us to toss and kick around ideas and ask questions and explore more deeply than we would have an opportunity at these monthly sessions. I will say it gives our administrative assistant an opportunity to bring forth any questions that has during the week so that we can continue to service our residents. In the future, we are going to discuss updating the sewer department website, make it a little easier to navigate. And we are discussing and testing a new form, particular for the sewer department, to track some of the building projects.
One of the other things I'd like to add is that what we're trying to do is get through this November submittal so we can go full bore on reviewing the fee structures and what we can do with fees and what we could do about bringing in some revenue. Accounting update, Sherry?
We do have some funds in a new separate account that was established for a revolving account. Robin is still waiting to get the expense account numbers, but that seems to be up and ready to go. We are looking at the bulk of the work for inflow and infiltration rehab to be covered by ARPA funds that have been pledged. So I hope to work a little more closely with Jen on that.
Okay. Working group, I don't see Lori on tonight, so we'll table that for the next meeting. Jen Constable will be joining us a little later to go over the Green Communities Grant and the boiler. So Rick, why don't you jump into where you are now? The earlier update.
Yep. Okay, let's see, where are we here? Okay, so yearly update. So September flow was good. We were at 1.8 with about 4 inches of rain. The moving average is around 2.6 now.
Just out of curiosity, with the rain we've had recently, what have we been averaging the
So
last few days?
unfortunately, we're right back up to 2.5 right now. So we picked up about 700,000 gallons per day with this additional rains that we've had, back in September and October. But the plant is still running well. No issues as far as that goes.
Okay, just out of curiosity, does your gut feeling, are we going to trip flow for October?
It's going to be close. It's going to be close. So it's going to be real close. NIPT's phosphorus update. So right now we have about 2 weeks left in the study that the board hired Veolia for. We're looking good. We're definitely on target. I want to bring, as far as the capital costs of this optimization trial, the expense right now, we're right around like $34K. I know the previous interim superintendent did allocate monies for this study. So like I said, we got 2 weeks left, and we are meeting the point one, and then I've already talked to some Veolia people, and we're gonna provide the town, probably not November, early December, with a report that can be submitted to the EPA and DEP on the whole study.
How are you making out with the sludge?
Sludge hasn't been bad. We're still covering, we have a lot of sludge here at the facility. I'm still having difficulties getting rid of the sludge. It's better than it was back in August, but I literally every week I have to call in. I call in the orders that I need, and I have to sit for 3 days, 4 days sometimes, to find out whether or not Synagro is going to accept our sludge. But it's not just a Rockland issue. It's really it's a New England issue as far as sludge goes.
No, what I'm curious as to how the phosphorus, the chemical treatment, is impacting our sludge generation.
Like I said, it's not really up that much, believe it or not. But it's really so right now that like 34K, I'm gonna be honest with you. Let me see, look at my notes here. 22 of it, 22,000 right now is in chemicals in sludge. Of the 9K is in actually equipment that we had to purchase as part of the initial optimization study. So it's really the chemical. I'm really using a lot of ferric chloride, and that's what will drive down the phosphorus number. But unfortunately, to optimize that low pH, we're using a lot of hydrated lime. I mean, just for the board's interest, I typically buy lime every 7 weeks, 20 tons every 7 weeks. I'm buying it every 4 to 5 weeks. So we are using a lot of lime. And unfortunately, the lime does generate more sludge. So I'm seeing a lot higher blankets in my final clarifiers, but we're dealing with it.
Is this report that you'll be generating, is that going to have a recommendation for a tertiary system?
It will. I believe the engineers will actually issue maybe 3 to 4 options for the town, for the board.
And they'll have costs associated with each, you think?
I'm not sure about the cost because, with inflation, but I think it's going to be a very good report.
Right.
Town will have in their possession. Hopefully, like I said, in December. That's my goal. Let's see here. Next item, our repair and maintenance projects, none at this time. Putting out little fires here. I mean, I just found out my effluent pumps. I have 3 effluent pumps, and one of them just randomly stopped working. So I'm gonna hire a contractor because it's kind of a big job for us. I have to hire a contractor plus a crane to get this pump out. I'm literally talked to the pump manufacturer today about getting parts for it and a replacement. Gonna see what the difference is, because right now we don't have an extra backup for the effluent pumps. We have 3. We have basically what we have is a lead, lag, and standby. Versus the influent, we have a lead, lag, and standby, but we also have an extra pump. So I'm waiting to get cost from the current pump manufacturer, just to let the board know that all 3 effluent pumps were purchased in 2012. Literally, the town did it. It was, I believe it was May, June, and July, and they were all. I know they were all the same price. They got a price of $15,100 for each pump. But again, you're looking at, it's 10 years now. So I'm just very nervous that if one's going and all 3 were putting it at the same time, good chance, one or the other one, could fail too.
Now, do you carry spare parts for those or no?
We really don't. I reached out to the manufacturer today, to our pump rep, and he said that the replacement parts are probably out 2 weeks. So that's not too bad. But my issue right now is I'm okay with running 2 pumps. However, if the flow were to go up and if our flow were to go to 4 MGD, let's say, I probably wouldn't need a 3rd pump. So it's like I said, once I get the prices, I'll reach out to the board and let you guys know, and so I can get approval. And it's not something we can wait on.
Okay.
It's just one of those, unfortunately, it's one of those things. And realizing that all pumps were put in the same year, that eventually this was going to happen. The next item I'll talk about is the generator replacement. On that particular one, let's see here, I got some notes on this one. Okay, so like I think I said in the last meeting that I attended, we recently found out that our emergency 500 kW generator that keeps the plant running in the event of a power outage. And we recently noticed, I think I said last time, I actually had an independent come to the facility and kind of overlooked the, they took a really good look at the emergency generator, and their expertise said that the generator really needs to get replaced and needs new heads on it, possibly a new engine. Like I spoke before, the water pump, again, this generator is old. Water pump, if I could find it, you're looking at about $15,000 for a water pump. So the last time we run it weekly on not underload, and then we want to run it monthly underload. And we ran it last Wednesday. Unfortunately, the antifreeze, as fast as we could put it in, it was coming out. Which again, I knew this was going to eventually happen, but I didn't think it would happen this quickly. So I didn't, I think before I made a motion to the board that we really should seriously think about replacing this emergency generator. The biggest thing is, I know there's kind of a couple of ways that the board can handle it. Again, I'm not a town resident. I know you can put in a capital request to be funded by the sewer enterprise fund at next May's annual special town meeting. That's one option. The other option would be for the board to go to the Selectmen's Board meeting on November 1st and ask for funds out of the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA funds. I highly recommend that the board consider doing that, because if it gets approved by the selectmen, then we'd be good to go. And like I said, we could actually, the board could actually get that generator probably in January, is what they were currently telling me, the manufacturer. Yeah, like I said, we can gamble. We can hope that we don't have any power outages and go with my first option. Like I said, wait till May. And then, and then providing you guys, providing the board has the funding, then when we go that route, or, the board goes to the selectmen and asks for money out of the ARPA funds. Again, that's your option.
I would like to go before the selectmen and ask, for assistance on that if we could. Dan, Sherry, what do you think?
Yes, I would do it.
I agree. I would still check with our procurement officer to see if we still need to get a series of bids for that.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to Doug tomorrow to find out what we have to do and what I have to do to get on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see.
Yeah, it sounds like a good opportunity.
Yes, it does. And I think it's going to be a great, obviously it's something we need. I don't, as your contract operator, I don't feel comfortable losing the power, at any given time. And, and then next thing you know, we're backing up residents. I don't think it's a good idea.
No, as a resident, I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I don't either. I mean, obviously we could run pumps and run them all around, but then we'd be in violation and it would be a nightmare for my operators.
I will I'll send Doug an email tomorrow, see if I can get a meeting with him.
Oh, okay. Boiler status update. I actually spoke to Mike Sneed today of Wilkinson, and right now he's ironing out the final details on getting the project back on track. They actually had two gentlemen out today that's working on them there, so they were working on the digester boiler today. But he's hoping within next week or the week after have the full crew out here. And like I said, I believe in one of my previous meetings, they have to get the rental out on site, and then they'll start demoing the current boiler. And from what he told me, we're looking probably 2 to 3 weeks once he gets the full crew out there.
What about the piping design?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
What about the piping?
The piping. So that's I spoke to Hallam. I think in the last meeting, I believe 6 weeks. They will have the bid ready to put out to the whole scope of service to be put out to bid.
You said 3 to 6 weeks
He said 6 weeks.
for the bid to go out.
Yep. He said he should have everything by then.
Are we gonna see a draft of that scope before it goes out?
Yes, yes. Let's see, last item, let's see that I have, staffing, is still working on hiring the, my final 8th operator. But in the meantime, as I've spoken to the board before, I have 2 part-timers at the facility working actually more than 40 plus hours a week. So again, I'm trying to get that right person to, you know, and fulfill the obligations of the current O&M contract. Markouts. So markouts, I understand they are part of our contract. We are getting markouts. It's gotten to the point where I can't do them on normal operating hours.
All right, can I ask you a question before we go
Absolutely.
further on markouts?
Absolutely.
Why? Okay, to me, a markout is if we're gonna physically break ground, correct? Or am I wrong?
No, so what a markout is, you dial today, you dial the 811, and that's dig safe. If you do anything here, and I'm sure a lot of residents do not, you have to call dig safe. Matter of fact, and I'll update that afterwards, the effluent flow meter. So you call dig safe. So we're getting them from everywhere. They all come through, they come through dig safe, but some of the things, and they can't really list everything, but they're anything from residents. For if a resident wants to put a mailbox in, for example, or anything in their front lawn, and a fence. I mean, they just keep pouring in. But a lot of them also coming from National Grid, the gas and electric. I know they're working on Market Street right now. I know, excuse me, Spring Street. You know, so we're getting a lot. In fact, I think since my last meeting, we had 5 emergencies from the water, for our water main breaks. So those we got to immediately send somebody out. The other ones, I do have some time, but you know, averaging 8 to 10 per day, and plus trying to fulfill my obligations of the contracts, it's become difficult.
Okay, let me ask this, and again, I'm not trying to open Pandora's box. I'm just trying to understand why are markouts falling all on sewer? Is there any other departments that help out?
Oh, no.
Highway, water?
Yeah, so what happens is we all get them. All the utilities get them. Sewer gets theirs, water gets theirs, and highway gets theirs for drainage, you know. So no, it's just been like I said, a little crazy with the amount that has come in recently. But like I said, we're doing the best. I've got one gentleman that does a lot of them, and then when he's off, he's typically off on Mondays. I mean, he comes in and he'll do. He was behind. He actually did, I believe, 12 hours. He did like 20 the other day. Today, actually, he was in this morning, and then last Monday he did a lot of them. So we're doing.
I just don't understand why so many. That's just what's.
Yeah. And it takes time, Chuck. I just don't. It's not just like, oh, go out and market. You know,
I know that, Rick.
You have to pull the drawings. You know what I mean? And then you go out there, and then sometimes the drawings, because they date back to the 70s, they're not the best drawings. And you know, at that point, I always tell the guys, I mean, do the best you can. I mean, we just try to find out where the sewer main is, and that way, you know, a contractor or whoever's doing the work doesn't hit our line.
Okay, let me ask something else. Do other towns charge for markouts?
I do not know that answer. I don't believe you can, because again, it's a service by 811, and which is dig safe, and I think that's I
Well,
believe
then
that's
let dig safe supply the personnel.
yeah. What's that? I'm sorry.
And let dig safe supply the personnel.
Right.
I mean, if we're gonna supply the bodies
right.
and it's gonna be an inordinate amount, I don't understand why we can't charge for
Yeah.
that.
That I'm not sure. You'd have to probably look into like I said, excuse me, the dig safe rules and regulations. But like I said, we're doing the best we can. And you know, I think we talked about this in the absence of a sewer superintendent, that you know, obviously I have some billable hours, and I've been working on that. And again, I'm not trying to cheat anybody out, but I'm doing the best we can, and I just can't do it on, you know, regular hours. But we're doing a lot of them, so you know, we're doing a lot on regards. But it just seems like every day they come in. I get an email, and sometimes it's, you know, I wake up in the morning and it's 8, 10 of them, and then they just keep coming in all day long.
So the superintendent was doing 50-50 with whoever you were assigning the markouts to, correct?
That's correct. Yep. The superintendent was actually, to be honest with you, was doing a bulk of them. we weren't really doing a lot, and we were assisting him when he needed help. We would, I'd give him one of my guys, and they would go out together and do them. Sometimes split them. But like I said, right now I'm hoping. I mean, obviously, as the weather gets cooler, a lot of these outside projects, the residents and National Grid, gas, utilities, they'll slow down, and then the only ones we should see at that point would be the emergencies, and typically, would be water main breaks, and people do hit telephone poles, electrical, and when that happens, we have to immediately respond. We really can't wait. The other ones, they will typically give you about like 4 or 5 days, I believe, when you actually look for one. I mean, when you call 811, because I actually did one when the effluent flow meter, and and they came out, and everyone came out. Actually, let's see who came out. Obviously, sewer. We knew where our sewer was. Water came out, gas came out, Verizon came out. So again, everyone comes out, and they didn't charge us, so I don't believe there's a way you can charge residents, for this, delivery service. So that brings me into my final thing is the final effluent meter. The trench was done Tuesday. I talked to the contractor yesterday when I returned from my conference, and we are scheduled for next Tuesday. They'll be out. We have all the equipment on site, so the 2 contractors will be out to actually install it. So I'm hoping then I got to get the electrician back to wire it once they hook it all up to the outfall pipe and to the fence and all that good stuff. And then I'm hoping, by the end of the week, if not, probably end of the week, first of the next week, we'll have it all powered up. I've already had my SCADA company out there. He's actually already has a drawing or whatever, I guess, or an icon, let's call it an icon, for a final effluent flow. So once we get that going, I'm very interested to see how it compares to what's coming in the building versus what's going out the building. As the board members know, that effective February 1st, 2023, we'll start using the final effluent flow number in lieu of the influent, but I'm still going to keep both numbers because I need the influent flow for what they call flow and loadings. And so we'll keep track of both of them, and it'll be interesting to see, is it the same? Is it 2 million coming in? Is it 2 million going out? Or is it 1.9 million going out? And I really don't have an answer for that.
I would assume it'd be lower.
I would think so too, but how much lower? I don't know. But if it's 100,000 lower, but that could save me on some of my violations that we've had over the years.
Yeah.
You never know, but we'll see. And I believe that's all I have, Chuck.
Rick, I thank you very much. Tell the guys thank you too.
More than welcome.
With that, I'll open up to the
Chuck.
public.
Excuse me, I have a question for Rick about the numbers for the influent and effluent. Do you mind if I ask him?
No,
I'm just curious, when you say that we're going to switch to the effluent meter, is that what the EPA typically uses for recording the GPD versus influent, but we just didn't have that before?
You're absolutely correct. So when the facility was, started way back in, built in the 60s, for whatever reason, they only had an influent flow meter. But typically, the EPA requires effluent flow meters. So they never really asked us to put one in until this most recent NIPD's permit. And they gave us a deadline of February 1st of 2023 that it has to be installed. So we're on target. And like I said, I'm hoping we'll get some early data before the February 1st deadline.
So then it could be helpful for us in reporting.
that could help us quite a bit, I think.
Yep.
I think it'd be a lot less going out than what's coming in.
That would be great.
It's going to be very interesting, I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see Jen and Mr. Mahoney on now. Jen, you there? Constable? Yep. Jen, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So I understand the Sewer Commission was looking for some information relative to Rockland's Green Community Grant. And for those that are not familiar, the Green Community Program is, well, first of all, the town of Rockland is a designated green community and is eligible to apply for green community grant funds. And these grant funds support implementation of energy conservation measures that help cut energy uses and costs by implementing clean energy projects. Typically, those are throughout our municipal buildings. We've had projects in the past at the school building. We've had, I think, lighting projects at the wastewater treatment facility. And then, of course, where we're saving money, that saves the town payer some funds and strengthens our local economy. It's a competitive grant program, and this most recent round, the town has, I believe, throughout the life of the Green Community Grant Program, worked with Guardian Energy. Patrick Mahoney is here from Guardian to speak a little bit to the actual work itself that'll be done at the treatment facility. But for this year, Guardian will come out and basically do an audit of the town to see where there are instances where the town can save some energy and costs. The controls at the wastewater treatment facility were identified in the most recent audit. The town has done considerable work in other local buildings, municipal buildings. And so we were awarded a total grant of $97,718. And again, that's to fund pumps, variable frequency drives and controls, and there's some program administration funds included in the grant. The town manages both the programmatic side and the fiscal aspects of the grant. There is quarterly reporting, annual reporting for the life of the grant, and then grant closure reports that are due and associated with the green community grants. And there are disbursements by the state, specifically DOER, which is the Department of Energy Resources, disperses 25% of the grant to the town upon execution of the grant agreement, 50% upon expenditure of that initial 25%, and as long as there's up-to-date reporting, and then 25% upon a site visit by the state and completion of the project. Town also receives, or there are incentives, I should say, associated with each of the projects that is associated with the grant funds. And I think that's the overall green community program. And I'll turn to Patrick. If Patrick, if you can talk a little bit about this specific work that's being done at the wastewater treatment facility.
Yeah. So like Jen said, we identified this opportunity with the assistance of Dave Taylor and Rick. We were able to find out that the existing controls for most of the office spaces in the wastewater treatment plant are a failed pneumatic system. Those have failed open. So Rick let us know that really the way that they're controlling the temperature in the building is by turning the boiler on and off. It's really the only way to keep the temperature set point at a comfortable level. So with that, we are going to be implementing a Johnson control system and creating 3 zones that'll be controlled by temperature and temperature set points and outdoor temperatures. We'll also be installing new pumps, and there will probably be a little bit of reworking within the boiler room to kind of just clean up some of the piping and placement of the pumps. There's a little bit of water damage on some of the piping, and it's not in the best shape. So that's something else that we're going to be doing while we're implementing this project. So none of the equipment that we are working on is related to any of the processes within the wastewater treatment plant. These are really the more for the office spaces and just temperature and comfortability issues. And we'll be saving energy by just being able to better control that boiler. And those pumps will also use less electricity as well. So
You'll be
it's
interacting with Hallam in that during that, or will you, or?
Say that again, Chuck?
How would you be interacting with Hallam? Won't you be working with them on the digester portion of that, or while they're doing that work?
I'm not sure who Hallam is.
Chuck, they wouldn't, that would have no bearing with.
Oh, okay, my error, I'm sorry. I thought when they said that, I thought it would be tied in with the digester.
No, separate boiler.
Okay,
Yeah, this is the boiler that provides heat for the radiators
Okay.
within the office spaces.
okay. What do you need from us as this goes along?
So right now, we're just in the process of waiting on a final incentive letter from National Grid. Once we have that, Jen and myself will execute the contracts. And then we would just need probably to have a kickoff call with whoever the, day-to-day person, that we'd be working with on site, so that they're aware of, schedules, and kind of staging of equipment and all of that.
That'd be Rick, I imagine, and just, if you could CC Sherry on any correspondence, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Dan, Sherry, you have any questions?
And then as you're proceeding with the work, is it fair to say there'll be other scheduled meetings with Rick and how long does this project take?
It'll probably be a couple of weeks. So there's going to be just a little bit of running of not electrical, but just basically the CAT cables for the zone controls. And then the longest process will probably be fixing that pipe work within the boiler room. I would estimate 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Rick, that pipe work that's not tied into the Wilkinson and all that?
Nope, it's the other building.
Okay, that was my confusion then. Okay, that's great.
Okay. So then you'll be coordinating with Rick at the plant.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Happy to help, and congratulations again to the town of Rockland on receiving another competitive grant from the state.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Patrick.
Have a
Thank you,
good
Jen.
night.
You
All
too.
right. Thank you.
With that, I guess that brings us to the end, and I will open up the floor to anybody with any public comments. Anyone from the public have anything they'd like to say or add? 1, 2, 3. Done. With that, I'll take a motion to end tonight's meeting.
Motion,
Do I have a second?
I will second.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes.
Mr. Hashins, no, I'm having way too much fun doing this. No, I'm a yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
All right, thank you.
Robin, I'm going to send you over that SSO right now, so you'll have it tomorrow morning.
All right, thank you.
Is there anything else I was going to send you? I sent you that letter. Did you get a chance to?
I did. I printed it and I have it here. I was going to look at it.
Okay, and if you need me tomorrow, I'm around.
Okay.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, yeah.